Hello everyone. Normally I don't like sharing personal stuff because I think that it's oversharing and breaking this barrier with the people that watch you on the internet. After all, everything you put on the internet is gonna stay there forever. However, this date was so horrible that I actually need to share it with you. So please stay with me because I am going to talk about it. Roll the intro. Remember that if you like the video, leave a like, a comment and subscribe to my channel because it would help me a lot. Having said that, let's get back to the video. Before we begin with the story, I'm going to refer myself as a Canadian and I'm going to refer to her as American. You'll understand why. I try to keep everything as secret as possible when it comes to my identity and who I am because after all, if I'm covering my face and everything, what's the point of actually telling you details of my life? But bear with me because it's going to make a lot of sense, alright? So, I start talking to this girl on Tinder and we start talking for maybe a week or two. We have a wonderful time, we share a lot of stories, and then we think to ourselves, hey, we've been talking long enough, how about we actually go on a date? Wanna have lunch together? I say. And she was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Cool. She then proceeds to suggest me a restaurant and I think to myself, sure, why not? So Saturday comes, we meet at the place and the first thing that I see is the prices. The prices of everything in the menu are way too high to the point where I think to myself, I was not expecting to pay so much on a first date. But you know what? Whatever. I am willing to let it go. I mean, after all, I'm not here for the food per se. I'm here for her company to get to know her. However, what I was not expecting was the food to be so bad. I'm telling you, it's the kind of food that it was worth at least a quarter of its original price. So horrible pricing, horrible food. I think to myself, okay, her company is what I came for. Well, I didn't get that either, and I'm telling you why. For an hour and a half, she proceeds to tell me how stressed she is about work, how stressed she is about studies, how stressed she is about her family, how stressed she is about literally everything. Literally an hour and a half telling me all of that. And if that wasn't enough, she proceeds to tell me how many bad experiences she has had with Canadians. Canadians are this, Canadians are that, Americans are nothing like this. Americans, on the other hand, they actually put a lot of effort. Americans don't actually play with your heart. Americans actually go on many dates with you before expecting any sort of advance with a woman. This has been going for an hour. She's gonna stop eventually, but no. Half an hour later, she keeps on rambling and rambling about all her problems and how much all Canadians are fucked up. Let me tell you, in the context of this story, I am Canadian. You get the idea. So half an hour later, we finish eating, we get the check, I pay, not because I was forced or that she was expecting me to pay, but because I thought to myself, I actually want to do it, I want to show her that I care. So I pay, and then we bounce. And I think to myself, maybe it's the environment, let's go somewhere else. So we go and grab a coffee on Starbucks. I didn't feel like having a coffee for two reasons. Number one, because I hate them, and the second one, I was already very dry on money after that horrible lunch. But I wanted to spend time with her. Maybe this new environment would help us, but nope. 5 minutes in, after we grab a table, she continues to ramble on about how much she's stressed about her family, how she's starting to seem more and more like her mother, how she needs to start therapy, and how all the Canadians that have treated her so badly in the past. Now, I'm already tired of hearing negative comments about Canadians, so I think to myself, let's change the topic, alright? Let's talk about something else. How about sports? How about movies? How about TV shows? How about travel? Do you like any sports? Tell me something about it. And I managed to do it. For 5 minutes, this kept on going and going and going, and it was non-stop. Before I realized, it was 2 hours and a half just being her free therapist, listening to all her issues. And I thought to myself, this cannot be it. This is not happening. We've been talking about all her issues for 2 hours and a half in the first date. I cannot do this anymore. But I'm a patient man. I am a man of commitment. I think that everyone has something good inside of them. So I think to myself, maybe let's go for a walk. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe we need to clear our heads. So we get out of the place, we start talking, And I kid you not, this is where shit gets real. Out of nowhere, she tells me, "Hey, I don't want to bother you, but can we go to the emergency room?" And I was like, "Wait, what? Is that some sort of slang for sex that I've never heard in my life?" So I ask her, "When you say emergency room, do you actually mean like a hospital?" And she says, "Yes. Is everything alright? You feeling good?" And she was like, "Yeah, but can you please come with me? We're just a couple of blocks away." Sure. I mean, I was actually worried at that point. I was no longer bored, I was actually concerned. So we get into the hospital. She proceeds to check in, and I ask her, "Is everything alright? You feeling good?" And I kid you not, she proceeds to tell me, yeah, everything's fine. But here's the thing, I got a rash on my left boob, and I don't want to go to the hospital during the week. So how about we actually do it now so I can get rid of it now? What? You hypochondriac bitch. Are you seriously telling me that the reason you brought me here to the hospital is because you were too fucking lazy to go during the week, and therefore you dragged me on our first date because you had absolutely nothing to do? And you're probably thinking to yourselves, so you actually left and went back home, right? No, believe it or not, I was raised by my mother and my father to be a gentleman. So I was tired, I was annoyed as shit, but I stayed there. I was looking at nothing, the empty void, nothingness in front of me, actually considering every decision of my life that led me to that moment, thinking to myself, I could be home right now. And she keeps on telling me about all her issues while we are in the fucking hospital. She keeps on going and going and going, and I'm not listening. My mind is not there anymore. I'm just there, doing company, but not actually being there, spiritually speaking. And she proceeds to tell me, "You look kinda bored, aren't you?" And I tell her, with no hesitation, "A little bit, yes." "Would you excuse me? I'm smoking a cigarette outside." So I get out of the hospital, I light up a cigarette, and I think to myself, I need to get out of here. I need to stop this. I'm ending the date after this. I'm not going anywhere else with her. So I finish the cigarette, come back in, she finishes all the studies that she needed to do, and I tell her, "Alright, let me walk you home." And she was like, "Are you sure?" Yeah, let me walk you home. I wanted to be at my place. But again, like I said, I'm a gentleman. I'll walk you home, make sure you get there safe, and then I'll bounce the fuck out of there. So I walk her home, and once we get there, she says, "Oh, there's a supermarket right here next to my place. Would you come with me to grab some water? Because I have no water at my home." And I think to myself, "No, anymore, please, I cannot bear this." But again, the supermarket was just there. It was literally next to her, and I thought, okay, I'll do this, and that's it. You grab the water, you go to your place, and I'll go to mine. That's it. That's what I was thinking inside of my mind. So we get in, and the water was on the right side of the supermarket. And this fucking twat goes to the left. She just had to go to the right, get the water, but no, she went left. What now? And she says, "Oh, I actually saw some fruit there. I want to see if it's any good." And I think, okay, don't lose your shit. Keep your shit together. She grabs a couple of kiwis, tries to get them inside of her bag. She cannot do it, so I do it for her. And she was like, "Oh, thank you. That's a very kind Canadian. A little short of patience, but you are indeed a gentleman." And all my fuses went out. Windows blue screen. Complete crash. I stand in silence for a second. Short on patience. Short on patience. What? And I stop her and I tell her, "Sorry, would you please tell me that again?" "What part?" "The part where you said that I was short on patience." "Oh, yeah. Remember in the hospital where I asked you if you were bored? Well, you actually lost your shit and went to smoke a cigarette outside. That is not very patient of you." Now, let me tell you something. You can tell me that I'm a cheap-ass bastard. You can tell me that smoking kills, and it's bad, and I would not even argue that. You can even tell me that I create myself very high expectations for everyone. But you can never, ever tell me in my life that I have little to no patience, because let me remind you that I listened to all her problems on our first date for 3 fucking hours, and I was ready to go home, even if she said after all of this, then get back to my place because I'm gonna suck you so hard that all the bed sheets are gonna get inside of your ass. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't, because I was so mentally drained that I just wanted to go home. Even if my body wanted to actually get into her place, my body would not have worked because I was not there any longer. But for her to tell me that I had little to no patience made me lose my shit. After listening for 3 fucking hours, I stopped her and said, "Alright, listen here, you little shit." Nah, I did not say little shit, but I said, "Okay, listen to me. We went on a horrible restaurant. I paid a shit ton of money. I listened to all your problems for 3 hours in a row. You made me go to the hospital, to the emergency room, because of an issue that was not even urgent to begin with, because you are lazy and you dare to tell me," and she proceeds to stop me. Whoa, I don't know what your problem is, but that is no way to react. There is no justifiable reason to react the way you're doing. And I crash again. And you know it's bad when a computer crashes twice in a row. I literally stood there 10 seconds in silence, looking at nothing. My rage was coming up with all my might, and all I could do was to tap her shoulder, smile at her, and tell her, "You know what? You're not worth my time. See you later." And I left. I got the fuck out of there and went home, and nothing else ever happened again. The worst date of my life. If you like this story, make sure you like and subscribe. I may tell other stories in the future, I cannot guarantee that, but I got other interesting videos you might actually like. So anyway, with that said, this has been Wano. I hope you're entertained, and thank you for watching.
This has been the worst trade in the whole world of human history. Why do I sound like Schwarzenegger and make an impersonation of Trump?